Many job applicants view the job application process as a separate step from the job interview process. In my opinion, that's a big mistake, so let me convince you why in this video. Hi there, I'm Dr. Anthony Llewellyn. Yes, I'm a real doctor who also happens to have close to 30 years of HR and management experience. Whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook or LinkedIn, I'm here to help you manage your career. A question for you, which you should feel free to leave a reply or comment about below. Do you review your job application after you have put it in? Or do you just kind of forget about it and wait to hear about an interview? Have you found yourself a bit mystified about the interview process and at a bit of a loss to what sort of questions the panel might ask you? Please be honest, it's okay. It's not as if we all went into, in my case, medical school to learn how to apply for jobs. Going for jobs is just kind of a necessary extra thing that we all need to do in our careers, but rarely, unless you're actually in, say, HR, is it a core part of your knowledge and skill set. About half of my coaching clients come to me when they have already been called for an interview, and whilst there is still a lot we can do in that time between an interview call and the actual interview to improve performance, it would obviously be ideal to have a bit more lead-in time to prepare. The other half of my clients tend to contact me much earlier in the process, and if I'm being honest, I do tend to like working with these sorts of clients a lot. Partly because I get to see them a bit more and know them a bit more, but also because we're normally going through the entire job application process together. And you should see it as a process as well, not just as a series of steps. In this video, I want to help you connect the dots, so to speak. And in so doing, you'll also see how this makes it a much smarter and more time-efficient process. You see, it all starts with a thorough review of the job description. You should always spend some time reviewing the job description, in particular the selection criteria, and any well thought out, i.e. good job, will have a clearly set out selection criteria. And here's a pro tip and a bit of a challenge to any hiring managers who may be watching my videos. If you can't easily identify the selection criteria, or you find them confusing or overwhelming, by which I mean there seems to be an endless list of criteria, then this is possibly a bad sign about the actual job. Think about it. Why would you want to work for someone who doesn't take the time to clearly work out what they want in an employee? What I recommend that you do with any job that you're applying for is this. 1. Find the selection criteria. 2. Put them in the first column of a 3-column table. Next, write out exactly how you meet and or exceed each of these criteria, preferably using achievement-focused statements. Be specific and use quantifiable measures wherever possible. Put this in your second column. Finally, in the last column, jot down the best examples you can think of in your work that demonstrates that you meet or exceed these criteria. If you have more than one, even better. Now, you'll want to review your resume and make a new copy for this particular job. Make sure that this includes evidence that backs up all the things you've put down in the second column, and if possible, also list or hint at some of the examples that you've come up with. And try to use some of the exact language of the selection criteria in your resume. Then you will apply for the job, and in most cases this involves uploading your resume to an applicant tracking system or e-recruitment system, where you also have to make some statements about how you meet each of the criteria. So you already have this information in your second column. Now, you might think you are finished with your 3-column table now that you've put your application in, but no. Here's the beauty of my system. Now you can start preparing for your job interview by practicing telling each of your examples. You actually now know what sort of questions or things you'll be asked for or about in the interview, as you've taken the time to consider the selection criteria. And it's the selection criteria which will form the basis of the questions you get asked. You'll be particularly prepared for past behavioural questions. These are the ones where they ask you to provide an example of something that demonstrates one of the criteria. But you'll also have plenty of examples to offer, even if it is a hypothetical question. And that's it. That's how to effectively prepare and treat the job application as a process rather than a series of steps. You do this by making the selection criteria the core part of your approach all the way through. Happy job hunting, and I'll see you in the next video.